After nearly 2 decades of silence, multiple credible sources are now saying the same thing. Half-Life 3 is not only real, it's actually playable inside Valve right now. I'm talking about insider leaks, voice actor hits, and development evidence that's impossible to ignore. This isn't just another rumor mill situation. Something legitimate is happening behind closed doors at Valve. And today, I'm breaking down everything we know. Let's get into it. Tyler McVicker, who's been covering Valve for years and has a solid track record with leaks, recently dropped a bombshell. He's claiming that Half-Life 3, which is apparently codenamed HLX or Project Helix internally, is fully playable at Valve headquarters right now. Not in pre-production, not in early stages, fully playable. That means complete levels, working mechanics, the whole package. When insiders say a game is playable internally, they're talking about a version that employees can boot up and play through. It doesn't mean it's polished or ready for release, but it does mean the core game exists and functions. This is a massive deal, because for years, people genuinely questioned whether Valve was even working on Half-Life 3 at all. Multiple sources are backing this up too. We're not just relying on one person's word here. Different insiders with connections to Valve have been hinting at the same thing: active development on a new mainline Half-Life game that continues Gordon Freeman's story. The consistency across these reports is what makes this feel different from the countless Half-Life 3 rumors we've seen over the years. When you have independent sources all pointing to the same conclusion without coordinating, that's when you need to start paying attention. Some insiders are suggesting we could see an official announcement before the end of 2025. We're talking potentially within the next few weeks. There was even speculation about a reveal at the Game Awards on December 11th, 2025, though insider Mark Straw has pushed back on that specific date, saying not to expect it there. Even if it's not at the Game Awards, the fact that multiple sources are pointing to a late 2025 or early 2026 announcement window is significant. Valve doesn't operate on traditional marketing cycles. They announce games when they're confident in showing them, not years in advance. If they're genuinely considering an announcement soon, that tells us the project is far enough along that they're comfortable revealing it. The rumored release window? Spring 2026. Take that with appropriate skepticism because Valve has a history of delays. They literally became a meme for not being able to count to 3. But if the internal playable build reports are accurate, a spring 2026 target isn't completely unrealistic for a company of Valve's size and resources. They've shown with Half-Life Alyx that they can still deliver groundbreaking experiences when they're ready. This next part represents a major shift in Valve's strategy. According to these leaks, Half-Life 3 is being developed primarily as a traditional PC and console game, not a VR-exclusive title. After Half-Life Alyx was VR-only and absolutely phenomenal, many assumed the next Half-Life would follow the same path. But apparently, Valve heard the feedback loud and clear. The game will reportedly have optional VR support, meaning you can play it in virtual reality if you want that immersive experience, but it's not required. This is honestly the smartest move Valve could make. Half-Life Alyx was incredible, but it limited the audience to people who own VR headsets. By making Half-Life 3 accessible to everyone while still offering VR as an option, they're maximizing their potential player base while keeping the door open for that cutting-edge VR experience. This also suggests Valve is treating this as a true mainline entry, not an experimental side project. They want this to be the game that brings Gordon Freeman's story to a conclusion, and that needs to reach as many players as possible. The VR optional approach makes perfect sense when you think about it from that perspective. It shows Valve understands that while VR is amazing, not everyone has access to it or wants to play that way. Half-Life 3 is reportedly being built on Source 2, which is Valve's current engine. This is the same engine that powered Half-Life Alyx and Dota 2, so we know it's capable of producing stunning visuals and complex physics interactions. But the technical ambitions go way beyond just using an updated engine. The leaks mention support for AMD's FSR3 technology. For those who don't know, FSR3 is AMD's frame generation and upscaling tech that can dramatically boost performance without sacrificing visual quality. This suggests Valve is serious about making the game run well across a wide range of hardware configurations, not just high-end gaming rigs. They want everyone to be able to experience this game properly. The There's also talk of advanced ray tracing implementation and an evolved AI director system. If you played Left 4 Dead, you know what the AI director does. It dynamically adjusts gameplay based on your performance to keep things challenging and engaging. Imagine that concept applied to a Half-Life game with modern technology. The possibilities for dynamic storytelling and adaptive difficulty are genuinely exciting. Enemy encounters could change based on how you're playing. Story beats could adjust to your choices, and the overall experience could feel uniquely tailored to each player. The physics system is apparently getting a major upgrade too, which makes sense given how important physics puzzles and interactions have always been to Half-Life's identity. We're talking about destructible environments, realistic object interactions, and physics-based combat that goes beyond what we saw in Half-Life 2. The gravity gun was revolutionary back in 2004, so imagine what Valve can do with 20 years of technological advancement. Mike Shapiro, who voiced the G-Man in previous Half-Life games, has been dropping hints on social media that have the community buzzing. He hasn't come out and directly said he's working on Half-Life 3, but his cryptic posts and responses to fan questions definitely suggest he knows something. Voice actors are usually under strict NDAs, so they can't explicitly confirm their involvement in unannounced projects. But the timing of Shapiro's hints lining up with all these other leaks, that's not a coincidence. When you see voice actors starting to tease their involvement, it usually means the project is real and far enough along that they've already done recording sessions. The G-Man is obviously a crucial character to Half-Life's story, so having him back would be essential for any true sequel. His subtle hints give us another piece of evidence that something legitimate is in the works. It's these small details from independent sources that build a compelling case for this being real. Half-Life 2 Episode 2 ended on a massive cliffhanger, with a major character death and Gordon Freeman facing an uncertain future. Half-Life 3 would need to address that directly and presumably bring Gordon's story to some kind of conclusion. Insiders have hinted that Valve wants this to be a definitive ending for Gordon Freeman's arc. That doesn't necessarily mean the Half-Life universe is done forever, but it suggests they're planning to wrap up the storyline they started back in 1998. After all these years of waiting, fans deserve a proper conclusion, not another cliffhanger. The question is how they'll handle the narrative after such a long gap. Will they acknowledge the real-world time that's passed? Will they jump forward in the story timeline? These are fascinating questions that we won't have answers to until Valve decides to show us something official. Despite all this evidence, all these leaks, all these insider reports, Valve has not officially announced Half-Life 3. Until we see a trailer with the Valve logo and an official press release, everything we've discussed today remains speculation. That said, the sheer volume of consistent information from multiple credible sources makes this feel different. Something is clearly happening at Valve. After nearly 20 years, we might finally be getting the sequel we've been waiting for.